Welcome back to Central News. ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, is a disorder that starts in early childhood that includes hyperactivity in attention and impulsivity. In Australia, people don't immediately go to drugs for the answer, but take approaches including changes in nutrition, behavioural management, education and psychosocial education. New Zealand, however, does tend to reach for medication. Bay naturopath Jaine Kirtley says how nutrition can help with ADHD.
Well, basically it improves the overall nutrition, so the overall health, but more importantly that means that they avoid the foods that trigger the symptoms and stop the body absorbing the important nutrients. It also provides the important nutrients that they need for health and to decrease the symptoms of ADHD.
Do most people with ADHD know what foods do trigger those symptoms?
I think very few do. Sometimes what happens is the parents might avoid certain foods, but they're not doing the overall picture. And with naturopathy, we're always concerned with that overall picture of health and the overall nutrition. So it's important to avoid all the foods with the colourings, the high sugars, but also put in the nutrient-rich foods, not exclude them.
ADHD begins in people as a child. Can it continue into adulthood?
It can do. Generally the criteria is that the person would have had ADHD diagnosed as a child, or would have shown those kind of symptoms, and then it sometimes seems to continue to adulthood, particularly if they've got problems with getting organised, keeping jobs, just even organise themselves in the morning. But where this is a persistent problem that really gets in the way of their lives, not just, oh, oops, I haven't got around to that, kind of thing, which is a sort of a normal thing, but where it stops their employment and their relationships being as good as they could be, yeah.
Now, Australians don't go straight to medication but try other means of treatment. Why do you believe that New Zealand has not followed this path?
Not really sure. I think we should do, and I expect and hope that that will be included very soon and will be revised. The guidelines will be revised. Australia started this as draft guidelines and they're sort of implementing them now, so perhaps New Zealand is watching. But definitely the most recent reports with New Zealand First, Family First rather, has said, well, 1 in 10 children got ADHD, and the use of prescribed medication for ADHD has gone up tremendously in the last 10 years.
Well, 1 in 10 people is actually quite high.
Yes, 1 in 10 children,
yeah.
That is, yeah, very high, and that's having medication, so, yeah.
Why should people look to other forms of medication?
One of the concerns are that the medication is only very short term and doesn't provide, and can possibly provide the short-term benefits, but certainly not long-term benefits. And the other major concerns is the side effects of the medication, which include heart problems, it includes problems with possible increase of various psychiatric disorders later on, and behavioural disturbances, nervousness, so all these things that might actually exacerbate the symptoms. So you're taking a medication that in fact causes those symptoms to reoccur, which we're trying to treat in the first place.
Yeah, so although the medication might seem like the easy option, perhaps down the track further, well, there'll be other complications.
And also it doesn't address the underlying cause, which is the main problem, I should say.
So what is an easy change that people can make?
Well, with the diet, they can easily change by just saying, right, we're just going to have plain, simple food, not packaged foods, not bought food. And, it doesn't take that long to chop a cabbage or chop a carrot or whatever. So just food as it looks like food, no added in sauces, just plain and simple, and also including some really good quality fats. Definitely lots of vegetables. The good quality fats are things like extra virgin olive oil or any kind of cold pressed oil, and organic meat, which is higher in the good quality fats than fish even. But fish is also great. Yeah.
Vegetables, all the things that children love, isn't it?
Well, they can learn to love them. Sometimes children aren't great learners, and it might be they're slow to read or slow to walk or slow to learn to eat properly. So just as parents or as family, we have to really support those things so they're actually getting that extra help they need.
Now, I understand that magnesium, iron and selenium can help with ADHD. Can you expand on this?
Well, research has shown those all to be low in children who have ADHD, and by supplementing those, other research also shows supplementing those in the diet will decrease the symptoms of ADHD and improve the behaviour. So we know that. We also know that magnesium and selenium and zinc also low in New Zealand soils, just as a whole. So this is an extra awareness important.
What are some ingredients in products that can be detrimental to those with ADHD?
Basically the preservatives, so things like the food colourings, certain specific food colourings, benzoates, another thing in foods that can cause it. Sometimes mercury is found in food, which can exacerbate symptoms and again lower the zinc levels. So just turning to plain and simple food is easier than saying, oh, I'm trying to work out which food is it and which food component is it that's bothering me.
So really it's eating clean, and that eating clean is something that people can do whether you've got ADHD or not. It would be beneficial.
Absolutely helps the whole of health. And the other important thing to check is certain foods that might be helpful in some people might disagree with a child with ADHD, and they've got a food sensitivity really, or inability to process that properly. Worth getting that checked out with a naturopath.
And lastly, what issue may people face in getting their child with ADHD onto the right diet?
The big thing is part of their behavioural problems. It's to say they don't want to do it. So the thing to do here is to say, this is just what we're doing. Get the whole family involved, get the whānau involved, get everybody involved, and say this is how we're working. It's going to help everybody. Also, so put into place like things like early bedtimes, you know, maybe 6 o'clock even. That's fine. So wind down. That's also going to help the child, help the digestion, help some of those behavioural issues. So it's a much wider reaching changes are needed than just the diet. So again, look to the naturopaths to sort of see, okay, how can I be helped to put these into place? It can take time, but it's all worth it, and everybody has to be involved.
If you want to know more about a naturopath, how a naturopath can help you and your child with ADHD or anything else, then head to naturopath.org.nz, where you can find information and a naturopath closest to you. Well, that is all for today and for another week. I hope you have a lovely long weekend in the sunshine before the rain sets in next week. If you are on the roads, travel safe. Well, I'll see you next week with more guests from in and around the region, so I'll see you then.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.